What's the deal? Lo, this only have I found, that God have made men upright. That's why I asked the brother, you said I was born doing this. You was born smoking cigarettes? No. You started doing that. I say, when did you start smoking cigarettes? He didn't want to answer. He was not born committing sin. My brother right here, let me ask you a question. When the last time you've been to church?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Did they teach you any of the commandments of God? Nehemiah 8 and 8.
They talk about a lot of different things.
A lot of different things?
Every other Sunday, there might be a different thing going on.
Different topic,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Different discussion. But are you learning about the commandments? Because I see you smoking a cigarette, right?
Everybody thinks it's sin.
So why are you doing it? Read this.
I was born in it. I was born in sin.
You were born smoking cigarettes?
No, I was born in sin.
When did you start smoking cigarettes?
I was born a sinner, bro. That's it. I've been smoking for a long time.
Hold on. Yeah. Read this. Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 8. So they read in the book of, so they read in the book, in the law of God distinctly. So they read the Bible in your church, right? A little bit or a lot?
We have church Sundays, first and third Sundays.
But do they read the Bible a lot or just a little bit? Varies?
It depends on that day. What's going on? You never know.
Okay. Well, they supposed to read it again? Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 8. I'm showing you, this is a Bible. This is what we're supposed to do. Right. So they read in the book, in the law of God, distinctly, specifically, line upon line. Does that sound like a lot or a little? That sounds like they reading a good bit, right? Read. And gave the sense. But the pastors and the preachers are supposed to be giving you the actual comprehension, the understanding, the meaning of the scriptures in detail. Read. And cause them to understand the reading. But the people learning the Bible need to be able to understand what is actually coming out. Not read it and, oh, we're going to vaguely give a general sense of what it could mean. Right? We're supposed to do this. Hold on. Finish this and then I'm going to ask you a question. That was it, sir. Yes. In Nehemiah, which is the Tereshatha and Ezra the priest, the scribe, and the Levites that taught the people, said unto all the people, this day is the holy unto the Lord your God. Mourn not, nor weep, for all the people wept when they heard the words of the law. The law is what they were being given, and they were being reached in their spirit, in their conviction by the law, the commandments, such as what I asked you if your pastor was teaching, which it doesn't sound like he is. Because when the people hear the words of this law, when they find out that us breaking of the law got God angry at us enough to send us into captivity to our enemies, which we're going to show you, that is why they was weeping. They knew that not only do I smoke cigarettes, but God is upset at me because I do that, because I'm defiling my temple. Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 8, he's not trying to avoid your question. Read. So they read in the book, in the law of God distinctly, and gave the sense. So let's get the sense of the scriptures, right? Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. I'm going to start there. Here's why. What we're doing is actually reconnecting our people to the history that they've been lost to, that they've been disconnected from in this captivity, the heritage that we've been broken away from. We're going to show our people who they are and what they are to be doing. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. And now Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee? But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways. To walk in all his ways. This is what God requires of us, right? My brother. So he's writing down for you the location information, right? So you had another question, right?
No, I'm good.
He said we all shaped in sin and iniquity.
Well, look, he's going to give you that. Deal with me. So you said we're born in sin, shaped in iniquity, right?
All of us out here was born in sin,
is Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 29, I believe it is. So, brother.
I don't even need that,
What's wrong? What did we do wrong, brother? You can talk to him.
I was trying to listen to you.
I got you. Well, look, what's the problem, right? So when I asked this man, right, or the sister right here, my sister right here, let me ask you something. Your son, right? He's how old? He's 4, right?
So if I showed him, for instance, this image here, what would he tell me? Who would he tell me that this is? We do this a lot, right? Well, no, I'm asking him. I want to ask him. Can I do that for a moment? We want to teach your son something that will give him self-esteem, that will reconnect him to the godhood that's supposed to be in his spirit. She does not want her son to have godhood. Okay. Yes.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 29.
What's the deal?
Lo, this only have I found, that God have made men upright.
That's why I asked the brother, you said I was born doing this. You was born smoking cigarettes? No. You started doing that. I say, when did you start smoking cigarettes? He didn't want to answer. He was not born committing sin. Right? We were born in the nature of the flesh to be pulled and swayed by it. But as Christ gave us an example to deny sin in the flesh, get that, 1 Peter 2:17. Because us being in sin, born in the flesh, us being born with the nature that Adam had in him to be swayed by sin, doesn't mean that we have to give into it immediately. Is that what I want? Read.
1 Peter chapter 2 verse 21. For even hereunto were you called, because Christ also suffered for us.
Christ suffered. Christ is not in sin, but he was born in the flesh of the seed of man that had the nature of him to be pulled and tempted. He was, but he denied it because he was righteous. That is what we must do. Does the cigarette look appealing? Yes, you see it in all the commercials in the 1950s. It made it seem cool. It made it seem like the thing to do. But guess what? You weren't born doing it. You didn't have to do it. You never had to start doing it. Stop doing it now. Repent. Read that again.
1 Peter chapter 2 verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us.
Christ suffered for us. Because if he did not leave us a perfect example to follow, never committing sin, then he would have not been able to be that succor for us, that help for us, that sacrifice for us. Read.
Leaving us an example, that ye should follow his step.
Leaving us a what?
Example, that ye should follow his step.
Christ left us an example that we should follow the footsteps of a man who walked perfectly, never committing sin in his entire life. From the day he was born to the day he died, he never committed sin, and that is what we ought to do. That is what we must do. That is what God commanded us to do, and that's what Christ commanded us to do. Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. There is no excuse making when it comes to, oh, I do this, I do that. We're all sinners. We all fall short of the mark. But what did Christ tell us to do? Read.
Matthew chapter 5 verse 48. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
Your Father in heaven is perfect. Christ never broke the commandments. And guess what? Christ told us and commanded us as Israelite men and women never to break the commandments of God. He never taught us to do it. So what's the excuses for? 1 Kings 2 verse 2. The manhood. The young man walked by. The mother didn't want him to come and deal with men that are just like him, who he ought to be grown up to be as. An adult, a grown man with a wife and children of his own. And a household he rules over. But how is he supposed to do that if our own women don't want him or the other young men in the community to come learn and how to be a true man of God? Read.
1 Kings chapter 2 verse 2. I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore.
And that is the strength that we must reconnect to the young men of our community. Because there is weakness, softness, sissified, punkifiedness in our communities with our young men. Read.
And show thyself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways.
The ways of God are written in the Bible. They are his ways, God's ways. And we are to walk in them and commanded as such to do. Read.
To keep his statutes and his commandments.
To keep his statutes and his commandments is the manhood that we are commanded to achieve. Read.
In his judgments, in his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses.
We have the book of the Bible, the commandments that Moses gave to us at the mouth of God, written by the finger of God, no less. Read.
That thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest.
And that is the only way that we will be able to get out of the conditions that we are in as a people, through the unity and the strength of gathering together under the banner of God. The only thing that we have not tried, we tried everything else. We tried religion, we tried economics, we tried violence into slavery, Nat Turner and so forth, who found out he was an Israelite, but didn't understand that the commandments is what we needed to be walking in. Right? Finish that out.
And whitherso thou turnest thyself.
And whithersoever thou turnest thyself. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 6. Speaking more about the wisdom that we need to have. The young man walked by. I was going to ask him, who is this? Because when we ask this question to our people, wherever we're at, in all over the world, especially in areas where we have our so-called Hispanic brothers and sisters, we get the answer that this is Jesus.
Right.
But is it? No. Give me Deuteronomy 18 verse 18. Because how would we be following a Savior that is not of our own people, that is said to save his people? If it said that he's going to save his people, then what people would he have to be if we were the ones captive? Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 18 verse 18. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren.
From among their brethren. He would also be an Israelite, this prophet that was be prophesied to come. Read.
Like unto thee.
Like unto you, you other Israelite men. Like unto you, Moses, you Israelite. Another prophet would come in the future. This is speaking about Jesus the Christ.
Yes, sir.
Mi hermano, ¿qué color es Jesucristo? ¿Es Jesucristo blanco? Ok. ¿Cuál capítulo y versículo en la Biblia es? ¿No? Sí. Apocalipsis capítulo 1, versículo 14. You speak English? I'm better with English. Español? Okay, we'll read it in Spanish. Hold on, no, come. We have a Spanish Bible. ¿Tengo español Biblia? Okay, read it anyway. Read it anyway. I was going to read for you. Read it anyway.
Revelation chapter 1 verse 15. 14.
He was scared to hear this scripture. Why? Because the idol set up in his mind, the one who is not raised up of his brethren, the Edomite, Caesar Borgia, is what he has in his heart. He regards that as Christ. What is Christ actually?
His head and his hairs were white like wool.
Christ is a man with woolly textured hair that is in color white and not blonde or brunette. Read.
As white as snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Not one image up here, which are all the images you have in your churches. You have the one from the 1400s. You have the one from the 40s. You have the one up in Brazil like this. With straight hair representing the same man who is Caesar Borgia. My brother right here, let me ask you a question. Jimmy, let me ask him a question. Let me ask you something, brother man. Brother man. All right, he walking. Read.
And his feet like unto fine brass.
Fine brass is the skin tone, la piel color, that Jesucristo is described as having in the Bible. Bronze, which is brown, read,
as if they burned in a furnace.
Furthermore, given an even darker description, that being of someone who is so brown, so dark-skinned, so black, that he is described as if he were burned in a furnace.
Right.
This is what the Holy Bible describes the Son of God to look like.
Right.
Not what he said, no one knows, it's not written anywhere. No, that was given to you by the Jesuit priest of Catholicism that came over and burned you at the stake for not worshiping. Read.
And his voice as the sound of many waters.
Give me some more. Give me Daniel. I want some color, because we need to be reconnected with this. I told the sister that the young man would be reconnected with his sense of self-esteem, knowing that the Son of God and the people of God and the prophets all were the same people as him. But she didn't want him to hear that. They wanted to go buy some Vaseline in the Dollar General. Read.
Daniel chapter 10 verse 5. Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen.
This is Daniel in the midst of the burning fiery furnace, wherein he looked up and he saw someone, read, like unto who?
Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with a fine gold of Uphaz.
Fine gold of Uphaz, the same way that gold girding was described in Revelation, that Christ had on his midsection. Right. And the beryl, the green color of his garment, the same description of the same man, the Son of God, Jesus the Christ. Read.
His body also was like a beryl.
Beryl, B-E-R-Y-L, which is a green color. Read.
and his face as the appearance of lightning.
It's very strong, the same way that his voice was described, having that power as the sound of many waters. Read.
And his eyes as lamps of fire.
Flame of fire, same description. We're reading about the Son of God. Who? Jesus Christ. Read.
And his arm.
It doesn't say feet this time. This time it gives a different part of his body, but it is also still giving the color of it. Read.
And his arms and his feet.
And his feet.
Like in color to polished brass.
Polished brass. Bronze, that brown that must be burnished through a course of cooking it in the fire to give it an even darker, richer, deeper, earthen brown color, just like you, so-called Hispanic man.
That's right.
So-called black man and black woman.
Right.
Understand that Jesus the Christ is of your people.
That's right.
Matthew chapter 1 verse 21. And that is why he is going to be saving you, because he is of you. You are of him. You are the one that Jesus the Christ is coming for, and that's what we're about to read.
Matthew chapter 1 verse 21. And she shall bring forth a son.
A son, the son of man, the son of Joseph, the son of God.
And thou shalt call his name Jesus.
Jesus the Christ. Read. Sister over here. Do you believe in Jesus? You do? What does he look like? Me? All praises. You got a husband?
No.
No? Okay. One day. But he looked like him, right? The father of your children, for instance, hypothetically speaking.
These are my nieces.
Your nieces and nephews, right? So, what we're out here doing is what? We're giving our history back to our people. We are the children of Israel.
That's right.
You so-called black man, Hispanic man, black woman, Hispanic woman, native, you are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We are giving our people, and if you put your groceries away, you come deal with us over here, giving our people Deuteronomy 28, the understanding that our history is written in this Bible. Deuteronomy 28, our history is written in this Bible. We have to go back into the Bible to find out what happened to us prior to slavery and up into it, and what will happen after it. 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day.
Moses was given commandments and sub-laws that were given to the children of Israel via him. When Christ spoke, or the Lord, spoke, yes, to Moses, he was given commandments such as thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, remember the Sabbath day, and so forth, that we, the children of Israel, were commanded to adhere to. But if we were not to listen to them, something would happen to us. What would happen to us, sister? What happened to us because we broke God's commandments? Read.
That all these curses shall come upon thee. And
the brother right here, you got the cross around your neck, right? That means that you know about God. So, what are we reading right here? Deuteronomy chapter, come here. You got to go to a funeral? You got a flyer? Check us out. Hit us up. Right? The sister. My sister. What do you know about Moses, for instance? It's okay if you don't know much. That's fine. We're here to teach. Okay. What we're going to teach you is this. Deuteronomy 28 verse 15.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day.
That what would happen if we didn't listen to the commandments?
That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So we would be overtaken by a series of prophetic curses if we didn't do what? Hearken to the
Just put me on the spot.
Okay, read it one more time for, right? If we didn't listen to the commandments and the statutes, which is sub-laws, like you got law, section A, subsection B, 2. Those are the commandments and statutes that Lord gave us. But who is the us, right? Read that top part again.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken.
If you won't listen, who is the you? Let's show her who the you is. We're reading Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy 1, verse 1, the first sentence in the book of Deuteronomy, to show her who you is. It said you would be cursed. You would have curses follow you, and they would happen to your people. But who is the you?
Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel.
So the speaker is Moses speaking to the children of who?
Israel.
The Israelites. The lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right? The lost sheep of the house of Israel is who, and you can step underneath if you don't want to be rained on. If who didn't keep the commandments as a people, which is us, a whole people that didn't keep the commandments, that curses would come upon us and overtake us. Let us read some of the commandments and see if we cannot identify, using the curses, who the children of Israel are. And here's why. 16.
Yes, sir. Verse 16. Cursed shall thou be in the city.
Cursed shall you Israelite, be in the city. The curses that would come upon you and overtake you as the children of Israel. One of them is that you would be cursed in a city. In the city. Whatsoever city that you would dwell in. Read.
And cursed shall thou be in the field.
Were your people ever in fields doing something that they did not want to do? What was that? Slavery. Is this you? This was you, wasn't it? This was you, hunched over in the field, picking the cotton, the sugar cane, the rice, the tobacco, the indigo. This is what happened to our people, and this is what's written in the Bible. Let me get more descriptive for you, if that wasn't enough. 33.
Verse 33. The fruit of thy land.
The fruit of the land where you were in the field, hunched over in the hot, beating sun, in 110-degree weather. Read it again.
The fruit of thy land
that you plant,
and all thy labor,
and all the labor that you toil in,
shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up.
Shall a different nationality be the ones to reap the benefits of. What does that sound like? Slavery.
That's right.
This is the Bible. This is your history book. You are a child of the nation of Israel.
Right.
If this identifies with you. Read.
And thou shalt be only oppressed.
Are our people oppressed? Let me ask you a question. Are we the oppressors in this land? Or are we the oppressed? We have been oppressed, sister.
That's right.
Read 32. Let's see what type of oppression that we have suffered.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
Our children were taken from us, ripped from our arms, and given away, carted off in cages, and given to another race of people. Did that happen to us? What about you? What say you, sister? Did that happen to us? Did you hear it? Read it again for her. Let me ask you this. He gonna read it, and then I'm gonna ask you if this happened to our people.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
Did that happen to our people? Our sons and daughters ripped from our arms, locked up, and sent away to a different state, or a different country even perhaps,
right,
to be a servant to a different race of people.
Right.
That happened to us, did it not? When did it happen to us?
That happened to our ancestors.
Right, which, so I'm talking about the peoples. It happened to our peoples, right? Right? When did that happen? Years ago. And it does still happen now, such as the border, ICE. Let me ask the brother right here, right? You said, so, my brother right here, Jimmy up. So the sister said it still happens today, right? Read this again. Listen to this.
Deuteronomy.
She's right. It happened to us in history, but it also still happens today. I'm going to show you how.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fare with longing for them all the day long.
When the conquistadors came over to this land, or the British, and they grabbed our children and locked them up in cages and put them and sent them over back to Europe, even like Pocahontas, who was actually a a war captive, a concubine of Joseph Smith, right? So guess what? The sister actually said something prophetic. This is what happened to our people, right? But it also still happens to our people today. At the border.
Y'all heard about that stuff in Mississippi, right?
What happened to Mississippi?
Y'all hear about it?
I might have.
Cops that you know what I'm saying? They went. It was this
trafficking.
Yeah, two black dudes with the white girl. They went in there. Bro, they shot them in the cheek. They tortured them.
Right. The torture. Hold on, my brother.
Yeah, it goes on today.
So this about our children being, yes, and it does. Our children being taken from us, right? Mexico was not named by the people that are so-called Mexican today. It was named by the conquistadors. The imaginary geopolitical lines that were driven across it mean that this is Texas and this is Mexico. When in reality, the 12 tribes of Israel, which is actually over here, they had this land in abundance for their own possession. All of it, right? All of that. Now, what do they do now? They took it, but when we try to go up, they say, no, you can't come. We're going to take your children, lock them in cages. We're going to call it ICE, and then we're going to do this. Read that again.
Verse 32, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
You have to get permission from your oppressor to come across this imaginary line that he drew in your own land, and he will take your children from them and lock them up in gates and cages. Read.
And thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
And you're going to be sent into a different area, just like our people have been doing. She said, yes, it still happens to our people. And it does. And these are some of the examples.